Hi there guys, Shadowka here. This is a bit of a different video. Pardon the bad quality, I am using my phone. I don't have an actual camera that is good enough quality to record, so please pardon the sound and the image quality. So yeah, I hope you enjoy.
Today we're going to be making Monster Hunter's Delight, and that is not, it's not a meal, it's actually a drink. It's like light alcoholic beverage made after a recipe from a video about 18th century cooking ginger beer, but instead of going with ginger, we're gonna go with apples, a little bit of cinnamon. Let me grab the cinnamon. I forgot to put that there. Cinnamon, brown sugar, honey, raisins, vanilla sugar, apple juice, and of course diced apples. To start off this recipe, you need to start boiling 2 liters of mineral water, but you could use normal tap water as well. We're gonna wait until the water is boiling. In the meantime, we'll be cutting our apples. You could use 2 or 3 apples depending on how big your apples are. I'm just using 2 and a little bit of apple juice because I don't have that many apples. But what you need to do is you don't have to peel them, just wash them real good. They don't have to be super fresh apples. Actually, if they're a little bit older, it may be easier for you to boil the juices out of them. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna slice them into parts like this. And then you're going to slice them into parts, well, like these 2 together. You cut out the core part, and then you split them in half. That's it. That's all you're going to do with the apples. Alright, our water is boiling. I have my apple cubes. I don't know if I can do this with one hand. Just it doesn't have to be a rolling boil, just it has to be boiling. Just be careful that you don't burn yourself because this is going to splash. Ooh, there we go. You're just going to add your apple pieces like that. You're going to let the apples boil for about a minute, and before you add your other ingredients, just to soften them up just a little bit. You don't have to do this next step if you don't want to, but I'm adding a few raisins just because, well, I hope it's going to be tasting like an apple pie a little bit. That's the point of the drink. So we're going to add a few raisins. We're going to add the honey and the sugar after we let it boil for a bit. So I'll go and weigh that down. Here we go, 125 grams of brown sugar, rough brown sugar, and some honey. Normal flour honey. To use caramel or brown sugar, you could be using normal sugar, or you can use reed sugar, or you can even be using molasses instead of honey. It's up to you. This is just the ingredients I have that I like. We're gonna add some apple juice. Let me grab the apple juice. I just grabbed one of these little packages out of the supermarket. Doesn't have to be something fancy, just apple juice. This is, let me have a look, 200 milliliters of apple juice. I'm going to add that next, and after that I will add the bastard sugar and the honey, and then I will keep stirring it. And the honey. Now we have to keep stirring it because the honey might burn. And it's annoying to do this with one hand, so I'm going to put you down and let you know how it goes. Before I continue, I would like to let you know that it is very important you sterilize everything before you try this recipe. Your pan, your pots, your bowls, and especially your bottles later on. I'm going to be using 2 dark brown wine bottles. But for now, let's stir this. Oh, if you're going to use glass bottles, pre-warm them under a warm tap before you sterilize them with boiling water, otherwise they might explode. And nobody likes glass shards in their food, drink, or in their body, so please be careful if you attempt this. I'm putting this on high heat. I'm just going to let this boil for 10 minutes. Or not 10 minutes, this is a little bit much. Give it 5. I'm going to be adding the cinnamon now. I totally forgot about it. I'm just going to add a pinch of cinnamon. And later on, I'm going to be adding a little bit of Jack Daniels and honey. It's not this bottle, it's like a little tiny bit. Just because I like the flavor. I've let it boil for 5 minutes. I'm going to add 7 or 8 milligrams of vanilla sugar. Just for added flavor. Because I really like the taste of vanilla in my apple pie. Alright. What we might want to do now is sterilize our bowl because we're going to put it in our bowl. How we're going to do is we're going to boil some water. I'm using hot tap water first because I don't want to shock my bowl because it's glass, and I'm going to boil boiling water in a glass bowl without it being pre-warmed, otherwise it would shatter and I'll be covered in boiling water and might have to go to the hospital. So I'm going to be very safe about this. I'm also going to be putting it microphone here while I'm pouring it. So if it blows, I am not going to burn myself. To be straining the mix, so we're going to use a strainer like this. And you can use a plastic one or whatever, I'm using this one. You're going to need to clean this too, so I'm just going to put this in the bowl whilst I'm adding the water. So that one's going to get sanitized and that one's going to get sanitized. Pretty good. Now, while you're letting your boil sanitize, you boil the shit out of the bacteria in there, you're going to turn off the heat on your mixture, and you're going to let it cool to body temperature. Like until you can touch the side and say like it doesn't burn the shit out of my fingers. Maybe a little bit colder. Yeah, we're just going to give it 30 minutes. 20-30 minutes. Alright, it has been about an hour. A little bit more. It took a little bit longer to have it cool. It is, I can touch it now. It feels a little bit warmer than my temperature, not by much. As long as you can touch it and it feels comfortable, like not too warm. I think it's a little bit higher than your body temperature. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna cool. It's gonna cool a little bit more once you pour it through, anyways. But if it's good to go, we're gonna go and strain it. I wish I could record this process, but I'm using my phone and I require 2 hands to lift this pot. So I'll show you how it looks after. Basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna pour this entire liquid, including the apple pieces, through this strainer in this bowl. Alright, once you've moved your liquid over, you can see it's pretty dark. It's not clear anymore. It doesn't look like clear water we put in when we started, and that's good. That means that all the sugar and all the things have dissolved. As you can see in the pan, this is what we have left. We have the apple pieces and some of the raisins. They didn't want to come out, but that's okay. You can eat these with ice cream or with waffles, or just, the way they are. They're just apples that taste like cinnamon. So yeah, they're pretty good. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab our yeast pack. That's this. I'm gonna add half of that, and I'll show you how that looks afterwards. Here we have our yeast. This is the yeast. Just normal bread yeast. You could be using beer yeast or wine yeast. The flavor will be different, probably a lot better than if you use bread yeast. But this is the yeast that I could find in a pinch, and it will give it a bready flavor. So I'm gonna go with half. I'm just gonna pour. I think that's half. A little bit more. Almost half. There, that's half. I'm gonna let this spread. What we're gonna do now is gonna take a clean cloth, a clean kitchen towel, and preferably something that's not too thick, and it's clean. You don't want it to touch your liquid. That's very important. Don't let it touch your liquid. Just spread it over the bowl, but don't let it touch your liquid. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, that's all you have to do for now. The reason why we're using a towel or a piece of cloth is because we don't want to air seal this. This needs to be able to breathe. The reason why we're doing that is because this is going to start carbonating. The yeast will start working on the sugars, and it's going to, do what the yeast does. It's going to add air, it's going to add CO2, and it's going to bubble. And if those gases can't escape and you use a lid, either it is just going to pop the lid off, or if it's sealed really well, it might blow up. What you want to do now is when you put it in a room temperature area, we're going to be leaving this for 12 to 24 hours, depending on, whatever looks good. If you can check on it once in a while, but I would suggest not touching it until at least after 12 hours.
Alright guys, this is how it looks after 24 hours. You can see that the yeast has been busy. That's how it's supposed to look like. So if it looks like that, it's all good. We're going to use this funnel and this beaker to pour it over in the bottles. The reason why we're using a beaker is so we don't have to pour it directly from our bowl. I'm going to be using these reusable wine bottles. They have a screw on top. It makes it a lot easier, especially to check on the pressure later, just to make sure that it gets carbonated and it doesn't overpressurize. I pre-boiled the shit out of these so they are very sterile. I suggest you do the same. They're easier to use than cork bottles or cap bottles, but you can use them anyways. You can even use plastic bottles if you have to. And here we have our bottled ready to go product. I suggest you let them age for at least a day or two so it gets to carbonate, but you can drink them right away if you want to. Even right after making, it's already a delicious apple pie flavored drink. I suggest you don't keep it for over a month, otherwise it might go bad. The recipe for this drink is down in the description if you want to give it a try. I hope you do. Please let me know how it went. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them, and I wish you the best of luck.